everybody, I'm Joey Evans.
I'm Z Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
Today we are finally taking a look at the fourth in the series.
Yep.
And this is the one that Z has been the most excited about.
I have been so excited. A whole world of monsters? Yes, please. They keep alluding to like old monsters, American monsters, Greek monsters.
Ouch.
No. I want
all
the world of monsters.
Ooh, and you've got it.
Get all of them.
But this is your BFF right here on the cover. He is the big selling point on that.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, you and Cthulhu, you guys go back.
Yeah, we've known each other since like the 20s.
Yes, 2020s. So we're going to talk about how this is different and our thoughts on it. But first, let's go to a quick overview about the game itself. Okay, we are set up for a game of, actually not even set up, for a game of Horrified World of Monsters. I don't have the board fully set up because I'm not going into how to play Horrified. There's several videos here on the channel that show that, but I want to show the kind of differences and what's new in this. Anyway, here's the box, World of Monsters. You're going to have, we're going to go into the monsters later, but first let me show you the board. Board is very similar. It has a kind of a steampunk feel with it, and you're going to notice that you're going to have different rage things right here. That's going to use different setup mechanics and things. You've got the Void, which of course is going to come into play with Cthulhu, but here's the board. You're also going to have some layers. These layers, some of the monsters, which we'll talk about in a moment, need you to find their layers. And if so, you're going to go to one of these. You're going to discard items up to 3 strength, flip it over, and see if you have found their layers. For example, the Yeti is going to need layers as well. So you have to find those around there. And of course, you don't know which one they are. So you have to go and kind of take that chance. So first off, let's go to the different heroes you've got here. Here are all the heroes. You've got the Guardian, Buccaneer, Fortune Teller, Parapsychologist, and Investigator. Now, different abilities, of course, the actions are different. Let's take a look at a couple of these actions. You get 5 actions. You may use a guide action on a hero with their permission. Doesn't take an action. That's nice. Buccaneer, this is interesting here. Actions 3, which is very low for actions, but check this out. Special action. At the start of your turn, discard 1 item to gain +4 actions this turn. Use only once per turn. That's pretty good. That means the guy can fly around the board. You got Fortune Teller, has 4, has an ability here. Look at the top monster card. Then you've got Parapsychologist. You may distribute any items you have to other players. Really helps with a lot of these. And then the Investigator, that they can discard 2 items to pick up 1 from the discard pile and keep it. See if we get that in focus there. Because some of these right here need you to have very specific items, which we'll get to in a moment. Again, you've got the item bag. Kind of the same as before. All the items go in here. It does kind of Velcro close. Then you've got the rule book. Rule book really just is very short. Kind of goes into the monsters. But again, the monster phase is broken down here as well as on the back of the monster cards. Everyone is going to get player aids, which they still included, which has the hero phase and then over here on the monster phase. All right, before we get into the monsters, I'll show you quickly the monster cards. Here's what they all are. Again, these monster cards are going to bring out the villagers or the legends, whatever you want to call them. And for example, this one brings out Morgan. Of course, you're going to take her back to where she wants to go. And then you'll get your perk cards. And then at the top, they're going to have how many items will come out. But then again, they're using the same type they used in Greek monsters, where you're going to have different activations depending on whose symbol shows up. Because the monsters will have different symbols. This one, the frenzied monster, and anyone with the ghost symbol are going to go ahead and move 1 step and roll 3 die to attack. They also have the notes here. Also says each hero and villager moves 2 spaces toward the eye icon monster closest to them. All right, so a lot of them have notes here that something happens as well as what happens down here. So this all has kind of a steampunk kind of vibe, and I do like the artwork on these a lot. Of course, you've got just monster actions, just straight bad for you. Notes for each monster, draw and place an item token, and place the monster in that item space. That's an interesting one because then the monster, instead of moving around slowly, can just appear somewhere. So that one, when it happens, could be very good or very bad. So, all right, let's go into the perk cards again. Perk cards are where you really see a lot of the steampunk kind of theme in this. Like, look at the artwork on here. Like, take a look at that right there. Very steampunky. All right, again, steampunk. So this, you can really see the steampunk theme going through. Some of these, let's read the notes. Move any monster up to 4 spaces. Pretty standard here. Choose one, reveal a face-down layer, or move a monster up to 3 spaces. Funny, those two have nothing to do with each other, but they're both very useful. But again, I do like kind of the artwork, and look at this right here. Pneumatic jetpack. Place a hero in any space. All right, so anyway, I do like the perk cards, as you do get one of those to start the game, and you get those when you deliver the, what do they call them, legends or villagers. Okay, let's go through the monsters, because that's really the reason you're buying this, because these monsters you can actually use in the Greek monster, Horrified, which we'll go to that in the review a little bit. But first off, the Yeti, pretty much what you're going to do, you got to find his lair, and then you've got to escort his little babies right over here back to the Yeti's cave. So you're going to have to find it and then take these guys and escort them back to the cave. And then you're going to defeat him with each one type of item. That's the Yeti. Then you've got the Sphinx. Sphinx is interesting. You're going to answer this riddle, and this riddle right here is you have to place items on here that's value is going to reach this amount, and then also each of these column amounts down here. And then you're going to go ahead and defeat, after you do all this to advance, then you're going to defeat them by giving up items at the Sphinx's location. So that's more of a math puzzle here. Then this is interesting because you are going to you have to construct this coin sword. And again, you've got to find the shrine for this. And then you're going to discard a certain number of items. Like say you have 6 purple and you're going to place them here. Just like that, so you've made part of the sword. Then later you can say, maybe we'll do 4 green or whatever. And you're going to place that on there as well. Just like this. And then you're going to slowly create the sword. Then at the end, you'll be able to discard some purples to defeat him. But this is, again, a puzzle in what items you want to discard. And once you have that sword created, you can then defeat him. Okay, I have saved the big guy for last because he is a 2-step monster. First step right here is going to be fairly simple. You're going to have these placed right here on this. You're going to have 3 of them. You're going to have blue, purple, and green, corresponding to the colors of the items. Then at the bottom down here, you're going to have different rune tiles randomly placed there. For example, right here, if you place an X, let's show you this. Each of these will have one. And then you're going to have to go and discard an item to rotate that dial, that number of spaces. So you're going to try to get to indicate that rune. So you're going to have to, say you do a 3. You're going to go 1. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Take a look at that. Wow, it matches up perfectly. All right, so you got to do that to each of these to kind of unlock that, and that's how you advance it. And then after you do that, which is the first step, which is again a puzzle style, then you're going to have to lure Cthulhu to the void. Now, what is the void, you ask? Now, to lure him again, you're going to use the green items to kind of move him along and get him to the void. And then once he's there, he is then going to go to this other board right here, the Corpse City. So you're going to take the miniature off the board. And then you're going to place this miniature, which will stand up right here. I won't do it now so you can actually see it. And he is going to sit here. And then you're going to have an item placed right here. And again, this is a 2-step process just like the other cards are. First, you've got to build the tentacles. You're going to have to discard items that are greater, or the same color, that exceed the value of the item here controlled by him. And if you can do that, you're going to drop one of those manacles, which is a little handcuff you're going to put right on the tentacle. So you have to get all 4 tentacles just like that. And then after that, you have to go to step 4. Then in step 4, all the heroes will have to come here to the Corpse City. Now, the Corpse City is actually not on the map. It's actually set over here to the side. I just have it sitting there just to kind of show you for the camera view. But you're going to have to go to the void and use one movement to come to the Corpse City, which is how you put those manacles on him. But then after you've done this, go here. All the heroes have to come together over here. They share their items. And they all discard. You discard all those items to finally defeat him and lock him away forever. So Cthulhu is a bit more complicated than the other ones. But again, that's not all the rules for these monsters. That's kind of to give you an idea of how they play. So again, this isn't all the rules for it, but just a good overview to see what is included in this. Anyway, let's send it back and see what we thought about it.
Okay, so that's what is new in this. So pretty much there are 4 monsters in this.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, and then a bunch of the heroes / villagers.
I think there's called villagers in this, I think.
They're villagers here?
Are legends. They're legends in Greek, I think. and
Yes.
villagers here.
Yeah. You're
Yes.
selling it. You're selling it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
That's
get
good.
to that. Let's talk. Gosh, I don't know where to begin. Honestly, there's so much.
You talk components, don't you? Or do you want to say components?
Yeah, let's do artwork and components first, I guess.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
start with that because it kind of surprised me. I did not expect the kind of steampunk undertones. And by undertones, I really mean undertones. It's
Big
like
time.
subtly steampunk.
I disagree that it's subtle.
You think it's subtle? I think looking at the cover, I don't get steampunk.
I agree
looking
with
at
you
the
there,
side, I don't get it.
100%.
But
Looking
the
at
perk
the
cards.
I just don't think it's subtle in the game. They just forgot to advertise.
I think
that
that's
it
what
was
it is. That's what I'm
steampunk.
saying. I guess maybe it's surprising. It's subtle, and it's not until you point it out that you start seeing it everywhere. You know, I don't look at the board. I look at the board and I just see the different locations. And I'm like,
Really?
oh, cool, that's that. And then I start looking. It's like, oh, wait, no, that's a little odd. That's a little different. And it wasn't until I looked at the cards that I really started seeing it everywhere else.
It's very interesting because I think it is everywhere except
Except
on
the
the
color.
box where they tell you
Interesting.
what game you're
Interesting,
buying. Are
Oh,
you kidding
there it
me?
goes.
I know.
Like, why would they not advertise
Yeah.
this as a steampunk game?
Right.
Because it is everywhere.
It is.
One of the characters is a literal automaton, mechanical golem dude wearing like suspenders.
Yeah.
It's his Victorian steampunk.
Yeah.
But
It is.
But it's not on the cover anywhere. Because it's Cthulhu, a Chinese hopping vampire, Sphinx, and a Yeti.
And a Yeti who kind of looks like Krampus.
I'm just very confused by thematically who they're selling this to. And
Right.
also, you put all this work in there. I think the illustrations for the steampunk stuff are cool.
Yeah, the perk cards especially.
But they're not using it in their, like, hey, pick me up off the
Right.
shelf and buy me.
Or even if this is supposed to be part of the line, which I know we'll get to as well, that allows you to mix different games together. And so is this map supposed to bring in that steampunk setting, and maybe a different map is going to have a different one, something like that. But then sell it as that. Make it be like, hey, this is the unique. Either this is the new setting or this is what World of Monsters brings is steampunk. One or the other, we need to know.
They got a gear on the side.
On
It's
the
your
side.
fault for missing it.
Yeah,
No, I agree. I mean, the only time it hit me in the face is with the perk cards. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
I
what I'm
guess
saying.
it's
Really?
a little bit
That's-
on the map. You saw it on the map too?
The map is, are you kidding me, guys? Like, the map is like steampunk factories and like it's full of
guess.
it. It's everywhere.
I'm not saying it's not there. I'm saying it doesn't jump out. And when you first set it out, that's not what you see in the map. You see the locations, you're like, okay, I got it. And then you move on. It's not until you get to the perk cards, you're like, oh, wait. And then you start seeing it. I'm not saying it's not on the map,
Yeah.
but I mean, even when we were setting up, you weren't like, oh, wow, this is steampunk up until we handed out the cards and stuff.
I don't know. I think it's. I noticed immediately because I looked at the people and I'm like, that dude's a machine.
Right. Okay. Maybe
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it. You went to the
Yeah,
people
you're right.
first that
Yeah.
it was on. So maybe that's what it is. That was your starting point, whereas mine was more setting the board up and everything.
I will also say that the 4 monsters in this, they're only doing 4 now. Fine, they're cheaper. They have a lower MSRP, or the cost of things has gone up. Whatever. I'm beyond confounded. Why these 4? When they were Greek monsters, I'm like, I know why they picked those 4.
Right.
Mm.
And I know why they picked the Universal monsters, and I know why they picked American ones. But what about these, like, World of Monsters? Somebody online, actually, I read, said, like, well, because they're from around the world. They are not. Like,
Right.
Cthulhu is from where?
I mean,
The void.
we
Yeah,
know where it originates in the stories. I mean, they're in that kind of Boston 1920s,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But the only thing I could say there is maybe because it's known around the world. It's like literature that's read around the world. But like, and I'm familiar with the Sphinx, but it hasn't had an impact on me, like my personal ancestry and history, you know. And the vampire, the I believe he's Japanese.
It's Chinese.
It's Chinese. I'm
Chinese
sorry.
hopping
Thank
vampire.
you. The Chinese one, like I had no idea what that
Right.
was. You
But
know, so
that's-
it's like it's more like they're relevant somewhere or somebody knows. So I don't understand the
Even the
connection.
lore, though, behind these things is wildly different. Like, the American monsters, they're all cryptids. Egyptian.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
all Egyptian mythology, right?
Right.
love
This is
that.
like, one of these is literary,
Right.
Cthulhu. Egyptian is historical from a very different time and place
Yeah.
than the hopping vampires, which
Yeah.
are also supposedly something that happened.
Right.
And then you've got Yeti, which is a cryptid again. Like, wait, what is happening? You couldn't even settle on like a time period.
Right.
And then you throw steampunk in there, and I'm just confused.
Yeah, it
I
was,
agree. It's a mishmash. I mean, I would have rather seen like Egyptian monsters or whatever, had Anubis out there, had all that stuff.
Yeah.
but just a focus.
Yeah, a focus.
know,
but
yeah.
this
Some
is more
focus
of a,
would be
it's more
good.
of a catch-all.
Yeah.
But as far as the monsters themselves, mechanic-wise, I mean,
Mechanically, I thought they were kind of boring.
all of them.
Okay, I did not.
Yeah,
okay.
I thought they were just kind of like, oh, we've seen this before.
Oh,
Combine
interesting.
this stuff in new ways.
Really?
They also lack some serious clarity. Like, am I supposed to look under the little wheels for Cthulhu or not? I don't know. Am I supposed to? I will know it once I've played it once, or if I set up the game. I guess I'm supposed to like set up like this. Don't look and hope you forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just some. I did not find the things to be that interesting. They've come a long way since some of the original like monsters, which had like Frankenstein and his bride, and there's some theme there.
Pulled together.
Yeah, there's like some neat stuff happening
I
there.
agree.
This is like, sure. Yeah, return the kids to the Yeti. That's what the Yeti's known for. He lost his children.
That's
What?
really interesting because I think I felt almost a breath of fresh air with these
Yeah.
4 because they were simple again. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm talking simple in mechanisms once you understand how to do them. They're
Right.
pretty simple.
Okay.
We'll get to the rules here in a little bit, and I have strong opinions on that. But I feel like I like that they were able to bring new monsters that still felt unique and different from prior ones without just overcomplicating it again. The game is not the actual monsters, how to run them is not getting more and more complicated. Again, outside of the rules of explaining how to do it. But them themselves, it's nice to see ones that function uniquely without being a whole lot more complicated.
Okay.
I agree with you 80%, 75%. Because 3 of them, like,
Keeps going down. Keeps going down.
I like the Sphinx. I think it's a very neat puzzle. I like the one from China, I believe. I like the polyomino feel of building that
was
sword,
fun,
things like that. And you know what? Thematically, return the Yeti to the kids, it's fine. But also, for a family weight game, it makes sense. That's why my daughter's like, oh my goodness, taking us over there. But then, Cthulhu, the first phase of Cthulhu, the dials, I'm like, all right, I get it. And then just Cthulhu, I'm like, it doesn't, for me, that one didn't fit.
But I feel like that, to me, that comes down to the rules. I think it
The
is
rules.
extremely poorly
I
designed.
agree.
So it's not in the way it actually plays. Once we figured it out by going to BGG, by
Yes.
pulling our resources, by reading this sentence forwards and backwards and 2 words at a
I
time.
mean, Joe was reading like
You know?
BGG like dissertations.
Yeah,
Right,
and it's
exactly.
a long thing. It's like,
It is.
okay, let me explain this a bit better.
Right. And then once you did that in 2 sentences, we're like, oh, okay. So I think that is where that disconnect is. It's not in how it plays, it's how the information is presented to make it playable, if that makes sense.
And as is the rule book, I think they pride themselves on know all the rules you need to know for the monsters on the back of the card. Well, I'm sorry, that is not enough when you'd want to go into that much detail.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's a huge thing, I think. So the Cthulhu, I think, for me, which is sad, he's the main, obviously, the one they're pushing. That was the miss for me.
I have a question for you guys. Who do you think is the target audience for this one?
That's the
Well,
problem, right?
I know who, I think their target audience is
Target.
Yeah, a
You
family weight
overpronounced that
game.
word, yeah.
Yeah. But I think that they have completely missed. I think their target audience is that, again, kind of gateway game that in there you like this game, maybe you played the other
You do
one.
think so?
I think that is
'Cause-
what they're thinking, but I think they completely missed it.
I feel like Joey brought up a good point. I think it was you who said like that those people don't know Cthulhu.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cthulhu is like this fairly obscure literary,
I agree.
boogeyman that not a whole lot of people know who H.P. Lovecraft is or who Cthulhu is, and most people
That's
won't be
true.
able to pronounce that word when
Yep.
they see it.
Right.
So I disagree. I think it is having a real serious identity crisis.
Yeah.
I think yes, they want people to pick the like. I don't know because it's simple. You're right. Some of
Yeah.
those monsters puzzles I find simple to the point that I
Very
find them kind of simplistic.
Right.
Yeah.
So then why would you put them in the one you're targeting maybe gamers with? The one that who out there is buying this? Families, at Target and places like that, and going, ooh, finally I can combine a board game with another board game. This is unheard of in mass market. Like, nobody's doing that. Nobody's out there going, when will they finally release that thing that lets me combine my Risk with Monopoly? No, that's not a thing. So gamers then, okay. But this misses on that front too, because the monsters are too simple. And there's this weird, like, Cthulhu, too much. The Sphinx, too little. It's just they can't quite nail it down. So I think it's floundering for an audience, in my opinion, you know?
Yeah, I think what they were designed for is not who it would hit with, which is not who's seeking it out.
Yeah, I'm just confounded by that.
I think they miss on the combining too. You know, I thought it'd be a very simple, let's grab and go. It's not. There's a lot. They're like, they give steps on. They do hit that. Lot of steps to make these work together. And I'm talking Greek monsters. I'm not I would expect lots of steps to take the initial one. But this one for Greek, they're like, yeah, there's going to be some hiccups.
Yeah, you thought there'd be an upgrade pack or something like that, you know, but it's like if you get this one, and it's kind of going into that, the combining, I think that is a huge, huge miss from them. It's like we've been asking for this forever. They've kind of been hinting at it forever that it's going to be combinable. Just include an upgrade pack in here and make it work, rather than having a whole leaflet that half explains how to combine it with the Greek one.
I think hiccup is the best way to phrase it. It's like, honestly, at this point, stop.
Right.
I'll just buy them individually, and I will play them back to back.
Just like we do Ticket to Ride or whatever. You know what I mean? We'll just have the ones we want, or the Pandemics or whatever. Like, we'll just have them as separate games.
When they made that change at Greek, I think we all three talked about the fact that, all right, they're changing the system, but it looks like they're doing icon heavy if they're going to make this make sense forward. But they really didn't. You know?
Right.
So that miss was like an unforced error.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know, missteps here for me. The quality control again takes a hit. They're trending in the wrong direction. Component quality, I think, is trending in the wrong direction. When we first pulled it out, I looked at the bits you pull out of the bag, and that bag is like horrendous, by the way. But it's like
always has
these are
been.
thinner. Again, they feel thinner.
The physical cardboard.
Yeah, the tokens. I'm like, we are trending the wrong way here with kind of all of the aspects.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I'm really, really hoping that the D&D one is a bit of a course correction for them. They have another Horrified coming out, Dungeons and Dragons. Please, time to course correct.
Yep.
I'm worried because the Red Dragon in that one is another, 2-stage monster like Cthulhu. Do not go down that crazy rabbit hole. Don't mess that up, okay?
Right.
Make it playable, for goodness sake. I don't want to have to go study the game to play it. It's supposed to be a light, breezy 40-minute game. Nail that. It should not be that difficult. You've done it before.
Yep. I agree.
But, man, this is trending in the wrong direction for me. I only wrote down negatives for this. I'm sorry.
We've been really, really negative, and I just want to. I don't know if we're getting close to final thoughts here.
Final thoughts?
If you guys want to say some good stuff, I mean,
I'll say
let me get my nasty out of the way then. Okay, I've already said it all. I'm giving this a 5. I think I will not recommend this over any of the other ones. They've all had a little bit of a this or that, besides the original. The original was very, very strongly put together. But there were some misprints in American Monsters, which is actually my favorite.
Wow, really? Okay.
And then they got, a progressively sort of sloppier, I'll put it. More hiccups, right? For me, this is missing the clarity, the component quality. It only has 4 monsters, and I don't understand why these 4. It does not really combine with Greek in a clean way, so that was a misfire. The steampunk thing was undersold, and I wish they would have sold it on the cover. I might have been more interested. I got nothing particularly redeeming here to say. It's a 5. You want to play with me? You've done all the heavy lifting. You figured it out. I'll play. Because I like Horrified as a system. I just don't like this game very much. That's it.
I think that really sums up a lot of how I feel, where you say, I like this game and I like this system. So I'm coming in at a 7, and a lot of that is because I do enjoy the game. I enjoy the gameplay. And so this is the same score that I gave the Greek Monsters, and that is because if I look at this as a system, it is a fun game that I would play. But man, I'm so frustrated by the implementation of this. I remember in that review us specifically talking about, here we go, guys. Here's your chance. Don't disappoint me. And it's disappointed again. So if somebody does not know horrified at all, I'll at this point say I think the better ones have more clarity of rules. I'd start there, but honestly choose the one that is of most interest to you thematically. But it's a huge miss and a huge disappointment that they are trying to make them compatible now, and it's just not working. I wanted them to be compatible, and I wanted them to be able to be mix up. Give up. I'm really disappointed in that. So I'd recommend it as a standalone if you are interested in this theme, because I think the game mechanisms are strong and it is fun. But it brought down to that 7 again because they just missed on a couple points.
I'm actually at a 7 as well, and the reason is because this is the first one I played with our daughter. She's 8, and she really enjoyed it. Now, we did not play Cthulhu because she's like, let's play it again. I'm like, well, we cannot play that one. Obviously, it's too... I think once you get it, you get it, but rule-wise, I couldn't have tackled that.
Now that you've done the heavy lifting and we've gone to BGG, and the 3 of us played that one specifically to figure it out,
yes.
Would you play with her?
I would now that I know,
Okay.
but then me having to unpack it, like you said, I had to read a couple pages from BGG to go, what do they mean by
You can
this?
also, to be fair, play where you only play the first stage. It's in
That
the
would be-
rules. You can just play that and then call it, and he's done.
And that
Once
probably
you
be the way to
spin
go.
the 3 little wheels, boom.
Which makes sense. That
Yeah.
feels like he's on par with everything else.
Sure.
So it is the same. I like the perk cards. I like how you can drop. I like the artwork on those. But this is probably my least favorite in the series, or the system. But I do like the system that much.
The funny thing is, I would recommend it, I think, to someone. Like, if anybody was like, oh, should I play it? The thing I would ask them would be, do you like steampunk? They're like, why are you asking me that?
I would not ask
Right.
that.
I'd be
I'd be
Interesting.
like, if you do, then you should try it.
Really?
Yeah.
I would not ask that. That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing they're not selling, I actually think is like the one thing I might say to someone. Yeah, I would. If you like steampunk, you might want to try it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. So that is Horrified World of Monsters. That is a seal of approval from us here at a 7. And we are all looking forward to the D&D when the next one come out because the system,
Yeah.
of course.
Hesitantly.
Yes,
looking
we agree. We do
Yeah.
love the system. So give it a try if you want. If you like the system, you might find something unique. All right. I'm Joey Evans.
I'm Zeke Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
We all love steampunk.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us for that video. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hey, make sure you check out what's happening, where I'll cover an app on an iOS or a Switch device, and you can check it out along with me. Thanks very much. You've been watching The Dice Tower.